Alright, hi everyone, let's start. So all this time I have been working on the combat system and on the first level. There were a ton of updates. I honestly kind of started slowing down with these devlogs, but as I said, I still need to make something to eat, so here we are. Alright, moving on. I've almost finished the first level, first test level, well, more like the first real level. It includes several arenas, each with a few enemies, and their number and difficulty scale with the arena number of or the player progress through the level. For example, at the beginning things are easy, a single enemy or just a basic one. In the middle there are several enemies or simply more difficult ones, not just tanky. And at the end there is the boss. So far everything is pretty standard. Next, each arena has different enemies or different enemies count. This is done so the player doesn't get bored and so they constantly have interesting little problems to solve. Like this enemy casts a fast spell and another one casts slower. One is a melee unit, another is a ranged one. And the player gets multiple ways to handle each situation. You can clear the melee ones first and then the ranged one, or clear the ranged ones first, or pick off the isolated ranged enemy before dealing with the group. This is just an example, but I plan to add many more of these small tactical puzzles with more varied enemy types. Now let's talk about skills. And so enemies and the players cast spells. They cast spells whenever they can. There is no classic cooldown system in the game. If you can shoot, you shoot. But obviously there needs to be some limitations. Otherwise it becomes chaos. So there is a rule that applies to everyone, enemies and players, and to almost all skills, except for some special ones like mines. Let me explain it using the projectile spell, the ball, as an example. Every skill has a name. For example, the first level ball is just called ball. That's one word, so it costs 1 point from skill pool. The skill pool is not infinite. It has a fixed number of points, which expand as your progress, so you can use more skills and also use stronger version of existing ones. For example, level 1 ball, one word costs 1 point. Level 2 ball, it's growing ball, 2 words cost 2 points. While the skill is active, it occupies those points. Right now, you need to wait until a skill fully expires before you can cast the same skill again. This doesn't apply to mines, since they are limited by quantity instead. For example, if the player can place 5 mines, they take 1 slot, but the player can only have 5 active mines at the time. All the limit will improve as the game progresses, so none of this is final. Quick summary: while a skill is active, you cannot cast another version of the same skill, and every active skill occupies a certain number of points from the pool. Some skills are limited differently. Now something just interesting. While a skill is flying, it contains energy, and that energy can afford not only characters, enemies or allies, but also the environment. So, as you can see, if I cast a spell with the water aspect and it hits the ground, water plus earth plant, meaning a plant will grow there and replace the tile that used to be there. Another example, water. Right now, if you walk into water, you will drown after about a second, unless you can walk out in time. But if you cast a spell that contains the stone aspect into the water, water plus stone are equal ice. So you create ice instead of water and you can walk on it because it's solid. Later on, I'm definitely going to expand this mechanic because honestly I like it a lot. Also, I made some balance tweaks and, for example, I reduced the maximum possible energy an entity can hold from 10 to 8. I also added a knockback, which allows you to push enemies into water or get pushed yourself. Overall, knockback is definitely better than no knockback. Alright, that should be everything for now. Yes, I will try to make these devlogs more often, because when I delay them, they become huge and too rare, and it's so sad. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Press all the buttons below the video, leave a comment. I honestly don't know how it helps with anything, but I would love to read what you think. So, see you next time. Bye.